Mom? What are you doing? Mom? Mom? Mommy?
This is the beginning of the 16th episode of the 5th season of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, titled The Body, in which Buffy comes home to find her mother has succumbed to a brain tumor that they had thought had been removed earlier in the season. This was a landmark episode for the series. Being in its 5th season, Buffy and the gang had been through a lot. They had saved the world numerous times at this point. Buffy had died herself and been brought back to life. They'd fought vampires and demons and gods, but they never had to deal with cancer. In an episode that is considered one of the best of the series, if not one of the best episodes of television of all time, Buffy and company deal with grief in its most human form. Her mother was dead, but it wasn't something she could have stopped by sticking a stake in a demon, or by finding a mystical tablet and reading a spell. Even the doctor tells her there's nothing she could have done if she were home. Joyce died instantly. This is a common trope in teen media known as adult fear. Adult fear, according to tvtropes.org, is about the things mature, well-adjusted adults generally are concerned about. As opposed to supernatural, petty, or far-fetched fears, the safety of their children, the safety of their neighborhood, the fidelity of their spouse, to an adult, children being preyed upon by pedophiles or sociopaths can be scarier than children being preyed upon by a xenomorph. In its essence, the adult fear trope is about the realistic things to be afraid of in media. You know a vampire isn't going to come into your home, but a human criminal might. The very premise of A Nightmare on Elm Street is a nightmare to any parent. The possibility of your own child being horribly assaulted and murdered by a psychopath in a manner that you have absolutely no way of protecting them from is a nightmare. And worse, this psychopath is supposed to be dead, because you and the other parents took the law into your own hands after his string of child murders went unpunished. Henry Selick's Coraline features a moment that many children find to be even scarier than the movie's spider-like antagonist. That is, not being able to find your parents. One of the most overtly scary sequences in the film finds Coraline walking around her world, not being able to find her mom and dad. This, albeit, was done by otherworldly means, but it sobers us up even so. The idea of losing a loved one in a very real way is scary. In fact, it's this moment that forces Coraline to go face the other mother in the 3rd act of the film. Losing a parent in film is a symbolic gesture. It's something that symbolizes a child growing into an adult, and it's terrifying. Losing her parents forces Coraline to take action into her own hands and fight the other mother, and it forces Buffy to be financially independent, as she has to get a job later in the show. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Coraline, these are all fantastical teen stories. But this adult fear trope, this fear of death, isn't just limited to those where the story is fantastical.
I got the bullet!
You can depend on me. Trust me.
There isn't magic, or vampires, or witches in Rebel Without a Cause. The film is generally something you could see happen in real life, but Plato, as you just saw, died. And Jim's dad watched it happen. You see here his vow to be a better father. He and Jim's mother want to be better parents, as they should have been the entire time. But as with Buffy or Coraline, the death of Plato was sobering. It could have been their son. As for Jim's side of this, David Baker put it best in Rock Rebels and Delinquents. Jim's inability to prevent the death of his surrogate son is partially what makes reconciliation possible with his own father. While this is an analysis of death in teen media, this trope does not only mean death. The idea is it means anything that the real implications would render you helpless. David F. Sandberg's Shazam, while being a fun, fantastical superhero movie, is full of deeply human moments and fears. Billy Batson runs away from his foster home, causing panic, worry, and insecurities of inadequate parenting from his foster parents, understandably. And in the case of Billy's biological mother, there were fears of being a teenage parent. She was kicked out of her own parents' home and abandoned Billy. Adult fear is a fear of death, but it's also a fear of life. Life without someone. It's a fear of realism. And when you're analyzing teen media, there's a lot of it.